In the heart of California, where towering trees and winding rivers paint a breathtaking landscape, lies Redwood Hollow Park, a sprawling natural haven that draws locals seeking peace and beauty. Named after the river that carves through its dense forest, the park has long been a cherished retreat. Whispers of its past claim it once served as a playground for the wealthy elite. Its trails still dotted with crumbling stone benches and faded markers that hint at a bygone era. For most, it's a place where time seems to blur, blending the echoes of history with the rustle of leaves. But beneath its serene surface, a darkness festered, turning this sanctuary into a hunting ground for a predator who would stain its legacy with blood. It began on a crisp autumn Saturday, the kind where golden leaves crunch underfoot and the air carries a faint chill. 2 San Francisco police officers responded to a call near the park's eastern edge. What they found froze them in their tracks. A body sprawled among the undergrowth, its face pulverized into an unrecognizable mess. Worse still, a vodka bottle protruded from the back of the skull, driven in with savage force. The smell of decay was faint, but the brutality was undeniable. Within hours, the scene swarmed with officers, led by San Francisco's steely-eyed police chief, Margaret Lawson. Her team combed the area, overturning rocks and sifting through dirt for any shred of evidence. The vodka bottle, wiped clean of fingerprints, offered nothing. No wallet, no keys, nothing to name the victim. Forensic experts soon pieced together a grim picture. The victim was a man, likely 30 to 40 years old, killed by a catastrophic blow that shattered his skull and tore through an artery. The damage suggested a weapon of immense weight, wielded with precision and rage. After days of cross-referencing missing persons reports, they identified him as Michael O'Connor, a drifter who'd vanished years earlier. But with no witnesses, no murder weapon beyond the bottle, and no trail to follow, the investigation stalled. Chief Lawson refused to let it die, but the case slipped into the shadows until the next body turned up a month later. A hiker strayed off the main path and stumbled over a second corpse, just yard from Michael's resting place. This time, it was an older man, 60 to 65, his head similarly crushed, a wooden stake jammed into the wound. The autopsy mirrored the first, death by blunt trauma, 2 to 3 years prior. The eerie parallel sent a jolt through the precinct. Then came another and another. By late December, 7 bodies littered Redwood Hollow Park, each discarded like trash among the trees. Men and women, young and old, united by the killer's signature. Smashed skulls, with either a vodka bottle or a stake plunged into carnage. No theft, no signs of struggle beyond the fatal blows, just cold, methodical slaughter. Fear swept San Francisco like wildfire. The park, once alive with joggers and picnickers, emptied out. Parents forbade their kids from venturing near it. Couples canceled weekend hikes. The swaying branches, once a soothing backdrop, now loomed like skeletal fingers in the wind. Chief Lawson faced mounting pressure as the media dubbed the unseen menace the Redwood Hollow Slayer. After linking the cases, her team reached a terrifying consensus. They were hunting a serial killer, one who thrived on the chaos he sowed. The San Francisco PD launched a task force, pulling in seasoned detectives and forensic specialists. They mapped the park, plotting each dump site, but the killer's movements were maddeningly random. A lead emerged when they pinpointed a psychiatric hospital, Crestwood Behavioral Health, perched on the park's outskirts. Could the murderer be a patient who'd slipped through the cracks? Officers descended on the facility, grilling staff and poring over records of discharges and escapes. Nothing tied the hospital to the killings, no missing patients, no suspicious behavior. The trail went cold again, the killer a ghost in the forest. 2 months later, forensic breakthroughs offered a glimmer of hope. Experts studying the victim's skulls determined the weapon was likely a sledgehammer, its heavy head capable of inflicting such devastation. The task force circulated alerts to hardware stores across the Bay Area, but no purchases stood out. Then, during a late-night patrol, officers spotted a man loitering near a park trailhead. When asked for ID, he sprinted into the trees. A breathless chase ensued, ending when a bullet struck his leg. At the hospital, he identified himself as Thomas Reed, claiming he'd fled in panic, mistaking the cops for muggers. His story checked out, and he walked free. Another dead end. Weeks later, a stranger sighting reignited the hunt. A figure in a woman's dress darted toward the park's lake. Glancing back as it pursued, officers intercepted him, revealing James Carter, a man who admitted to cross-dressing for safety after years of harassment. In his bag, they found a hammer. James insisted it was for self-defense, his voice trembling as he recounted attacks he'd endured. Suspicion lingered, but his alibi held, and his prints didn't match the scenes. He was released, leaving the task force grasping at shadows. The body count climbed. Over the next 6 months, 5 more victims surfaced, 12 in total. The youngest was a 22-year-old runaway, the oldest, a 78-year-old retiree. Most were men, often elderly, their lives snuffed out with the same ruthless efficiency. San Francisco teetered on the edge of hysteria. News vans camped outside the park, broadcasting grim updates. Chief Lawson's team worked around the clock, but the killer's invisibility mocked their efforts. The Redwood Hollow Slayer became a boogeyman, a name whispered in dread. Then, a break. During a sweep of the park's western ridge, officers found a woman's body beneath a cluster of ferns. She was Laura Evans, a 36-year-old single mother and supermarket cashier. Her death matched the pattern. Skull cave and vodka bottle embedded. But this time, there was a witness. Her 12-year-old son, Ethan. The night before she vanished, Laura had scribbled a note for Ethan. She was headed to the park for a picnic with her co-worker, Samuel, and left his number. In her coat pocket, police found a San Francisco subway ticket. They traced it to a station camera, where grainy footage showed Laura laughing beside a man. The task force moved fast, raiding an apartment in the Mission District. The man wasn't Samuel. It was Victor Grayson, a 32-year-old stockroom worker with a quiet demeanor and a deadly secret. In the interrogation room, Victor sat stone-faced, denying any involvement in Laura's death. Detectives leaned hard, hours ticking by as they chipped at his resolve. Finally, he cracked, his voice flat and chilling. He'd invited Laura to the park, he said, wrestling with the urge to spare her. She'd left his number with Ethan, a loose end he knew could doom him. Yet the compulsion won. He smashed her skull and left her among the trees, another trophy in his twisted game. When asked about the other 11 victims, he didn't flinch. "I've killed 61, he said, a faint smirk curling his lips. The room went silent. If true, Victor Grayson was the deadliest killer in U.S. history. To test his claim, detectives hauled out stacks of missing persons files, faces spanning decades. Victor scanned them, shrugging at most. "Too many to remember," he said. No remorse crossed his face. Instead, he taunted, "You should have caught me sooner." A search of his cramped apartment revealed the key to his madness. A chessboard, its 64 squares meticulously marked with dates. 61 were filled, each a life extinguished. The press seized the story, branding him the chessboard killer, a moniker that captured his cold, calculated brutality. Victor was born in 1974 in Oakland, a gritty city across the bay. His father walked out when he was 10 months old, leaving him with mother too lost in her own affairs to care. His grandfather, Henry Grayson, became his anchor, raising him with a gruff tenderness. At 4, a fall from a swing changed everything. Victor's head slammed into concrete, leaving him with a stutter, shaky handwriting, and a temper that flared without warning. Classmates mocked him as dumb, their cruelty forging a simmering rage. His mother shipped him to a school for troubled kids, but Henry fought to keep him grounded, teaching him chess. On the board, Victor found control, a world where he could outsmart anyone. He grew into a loner, excelling at chess in Redwood Hollow Park, where he challenged grizzled regulars under the oaks. But when Henry died, the last tether snapped. Victor drowned his grief in vodka, haunting the park not just for games, but for something darker. He started small, cornering lost kids and filming their terror, reveling in their helplessness. Then he stumbled across tales of Thomas Reed, the butcher of Reno, who'd killed 53 in the 80s. Reed became his idol, a benchmark to eclipse. Victor enlisted an old schoolmate, Nathan Brooks, in his scheme, but when Nathan hesitated, Victor strangled him with a nylon cord and dumped him in a park well. His first kill, a bloody rite of passage at 18. Suspicion fell on him when Nathan vanished, but Victor played innocent, slipping through the cracks. Emboldened, he trained his body and sharpened his charm, perfecting the art of luring prey. In 2001, he struck again, befriending George Harris, a 52-year-old chess opponent. After a match, Victor spun a tale about a pet's grave, leading George deep into the park. They toasted with vodka, then Victor crushed his skull, dumping him in a well and marking his chessboard's first square. For years, he hunted the vulnerable, drifters, retirees, anyone who'd follow his friendly smile. He'd share a drink, then strike, graduating from bottles to a sledgehammer, leaving bodies as brazen challenges. By 2006, with 3 squares left, his luck ran out. Arrested after Laura's murder, he faced trial in 2007. The courtroom buzzed as prosecutors laid out 49 murders and 3 failed attempts. Victor boasted of 61, but the evidence stuck at 49. 3 survivors testified: a pregnant immigrant he'd pushed down a well, a jogger who clawed his way out, and a neighbor left amnesiac by a hammer. Sentenced to life with 4 psychiatric care, he sneered, "I regret getting caught too soon." His dream of topping Thomas Reed crumbled, but his infamy endures. Behind bars, Victor adapted, calling the prison cozy. He married a pen pal in 2016, a final twist in his saga. Was life enough for a man who saw lives as chess pieces? Some clamor for the death penalty. Others argue even monsters deserve to breathe. For Victor Grayson, the game ended, not with a checkmate, but with a cage. The chessboard killer faded into legend, his board incomplete, his legacy a scar on Redwood Hollow Park.